Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, September 29th, 2021. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. Hello, Crucible Man. I had to start the show over. I started the wrong show. Hopefully, OJ and Bahram will find their way back. Okay, well, I am going to get started. All right, so now we are on the correct show. Today I'm going to talk about friendship and what is it? And what makes a good friend? And are you one? Are you one to have lots of friends? Are you one to have not so many friends? Did you have a lot of friends growing up? Do you still have those friends now in your older years? Or if you are young, you still have those friends in your younger years? So that is my question. All right. So I have a lot to say on the subject because I've had various friends over the years. Some I have maintained since I was little. Friends you grew up with on the block, and I still keep in touch with them. I still have a relationship with them, and people that you meet along the way. Then you have those friends who, you're friends with them. Maybe you're friends with them at work, or maybe you're friends with them at school, or maybe you weren't friends with them at all. You were just acquaintances. You know, um, for some people, an acquaintance may be a friend. For me, an acquaintance is not a friend. It's just someone. It's just someone that I know. And then you have friends that you're not sure exactly what your relationship is. Are you a friend? Are they not a friend? Do they consider you a friend? Do they not consider you a friend? But I take friendship, very very seriously, and I would say that on one hand I can count, all of my good friends. So you know in reality, what is the meaning of a friendship? And do you say the meaning of true friendship, or just someone, again, that's just a friend? Now, by definition, the definition of a true friendship is someone who has your back no matter what. They watch out for you and ensure you are not in danger. They will never purposely lead you into making decisions that aren't good for you. And a true friendship will always have your best interest at heart. Um, I can go with that for the most part. Um, but it's also a true way. It's a two-way street. I think friendship has a lot to do with trust. Do you trust this person? Do you not trust this person? Um, how much are you willing to trust this person? Uh, and the same thing, how much do they trust you? Um, are you devoted to this person? If you're friends, you have to be devoted to this person. I mean, is that necessary? So, how far, are you willing to to take friendship? So, I guess that would be my question. So, I'm going to open it up. Crucible Man, do you have any comment you want to make? Agree with me, disagree with me, or else I'm just going to keep going. You know, I think friendship, you can have similar interests or not. Um, I don't think friends have to necessarily have anything in common. I definitely have friends that I have absolutely nothing in common with them, but we have managed to maintain a friendship, over the years. So, you know, um, I think that you also have groups of friends, and what I mean by that is you have friends that you'll do this with, but you won't do that with. Um, you may have friends that may not like each other. I mean, I've run into that before, where I know that I'm friends with both of these people, but they don't like each other. So what do you do if you want to have a get together, or if you want to go out to lunch, whatever, then you're usually welcome back. OJ, I'm so sorry about that before I started the wrong show. um what do you do if you know um you want to have that party or something, and these two friends don't get along? Do you not invite one of them? Do you not invite both of them? Do you invite both of them, and then one of them stays on one side of the room, the other one stays on the other side? What do you do? But both of them are your friend. So you know again, what is the dynamic of a friendship? um how far are you willing to go for this person? um and I guess another thing that I would like to add is, do you consider yourself a good friend? you know um are you that person who is, who is always um wanting, but you're not giving? Or are you always the person who is giving, but you're not getting anything back? um OJ says, I would like for them to patch up. Well, okay, so you're referring to the two people who do not like each other. Well, one thing I have learned, and again, I have friends that are like that. I have two particular friends who just do not like each other, and I have learned to stay out of the way, um, because if they're going to get together, if they're going to make up, is something the two of them need to do, and a third party needs to stay out of it. So for me personally, I would not, get in the middle. Would I like for them to like each other? Of course, they're both your friends. Welcome back, Bahram. Welcome back. They are both your friends, so yes, of course, you would like for them to get along. But for me personally, I would not get in the middle of trying to patch up that friendship. I have learned from it, and this is just me personally. I don't know what your experience has been, but for me personally, I have learned not to be that third party. So does anyone want to disagree with me? Okay, Crucible Man. All right. You should have the mic. Let me try that again. All right. There's Crucible Man.
Hello?
You are on.
I think the nature of friendship depends on where we are in our lives. Obviously, when we're younger, we have more friends than we will later on in life. It's kind of like the sands from an hourglass. You put them in at the top, and slowly over time, they fall out, and you have only a little bit left at the end. And I think it's easier to be friends with a lot of people when you're young because the bar is set so low. We don't really place serious demands on our friendship because life hasn't really demanded it yet. So it's easy to be friends with 100 people in school because you have basic things in common, and you haven't reached the point of maturity yet where you're starting to forge your own life and you're starting to develop interests that are different from your friends from maybe from sixth grade. So I believe the way you define a friendship or you measure a friendship is by life, life milestones and benchmarks and significant events in a person's life when you're going through a difficult time, whether it's a divorce, whether you've lost your job, whether it's an illness, whatever it happens to be. The people who are there during those times of crisis typically are the people you can count as your very good friends. Now, having said that, I have a very good friend of mine who I've known for 50 years. We went to high school together. We went to college together. We still talk to this day. He did not show up at my mother's wake or funeral. No explanation. He did not show up at my father's wake or funeral. No explanation. He remarried about 3 or 4 years ago. Very small wedding, apparently. I say apparently because I was not invited. And I don't hold those things against him. It seems like on the surface that I should, that you couldn't, have spared 15 minutes to stop by and say hello at my mother and father's wake. Yeah, that should bother me, but for some reason I've chosen to overlook it because he has been a good friend otherwise. So I think we tend to measure our friendships in terms of who's been around for the significant events in our life, both good and bad.
Okay, I agree with some of the things that you say. I will say I'll tackle your parents' funerals. First of all, I always say, and this is just something that I truly believe, you never know what's going on in a person's life. You never know, why someone doesn't show up, whatever. So just, for me, it's just you just never know what is going on. The other thing is in terms of when you're younger, and you can have 100 friends when you are younger. And OJ says empathy is the word. Okay, I can agree with that. I think that when you're younger, when you're in elementary school, I do believe that you can form a significant bond with people. The friendships that you've carried on through your elementary years and even your high school years, I think those are significant because you may have that one friend where he had your back, you had his. You may have only been in third grade, but then you look, 40, 50 years later, this person is still your friend because you did form that bond when you were younger. You know, look at what happens when you get into high school. Especially with girls. They form these cliques. Whatever. And sometimes when you're left out of a clique, or this particular group, you tend to form a relationship with, it may just be with one person, but you tend to form a relationship with someone else, you know, that is life lasting. So I don't necessarily, believe that it's someone who is there for you in life's events because, when you're younger, just dealing with school, dealing with just trying to get out of elementary school and high school, that is a significant life event, and for a lot of people it's emotional. And nowadays with bullying, and what have you, on the elementary school level where first graders and second graders are being bullied by each other, I think that friendships are formed to help you get through that life event. I mean, that's just me. So does anyone agree with me, disagree with me, want to say something else? Do you think I'm wrong?
Well, I think the word friendship gets thrown around very loosely, and we each have different definitions of what friendship is, and sometimes we think we have a good friend in somebody, and then they do something that demonstrates that you're not in the same category friendship wise as you've placed them. They either drop the ball on something significant or maybe more than once, and you get these subtle, not so subtle signals over the course of time that either A, the friendship was never what you assessed it at in the first place, you misread it, or life circumstances, whatever they are, have changed the complexion of the friendship, and where you would still be willing to do almost anything for this person, you start to see over time that maybe the same doesn't hold true for them. And I have lost several very good friends that I have known for 20 plus years. And, one or two of them was of my doing. Without getting into details, there were some, betrayal type things that took place that I had a difficult time abiding. And I didn't have any choice but to sever the friendship. Others have been severed for me through either misunderstandings or legitimate circumstances that have taken place, and we just never spoke again. And that makes me sad, because I always thought these were the kind of friends that, regardless of however we may have disappointed one another at whatever point, that it would always be something that we could get past. When you know somebody for 20 years and you count them among your good friends, those are almost impossible to replace for obvious reasons. So I think over the course of our lives, different people change categories based on whatever's going on in your life, and you can get caught off guard by it. And like I said, it isn't as if you can go back in time and generate a bunch of new friendships for 20 years. When you get to be in your 50s and your 60s, particularly with men, women are much more social, and they seem to value the investment that needs to be made. And it is an investment of time and emotion and whatever you want to call it, than men are. Men just don't like to socialize once they reach a certain point. So there's that natural fallout from that. And I'm not upset about it or anything. I just didn't necessarily see it coming in all cases, but sometimes the circumstances make it inevitable that friendships, just like relationships, need to end.
I would agree with that. Again, up to a point, because I truly believe that. I mean, a friendship is what you put into it, and like you said, you may have thought that, this particular friendship is something that you could have worked through, whatever. But one thing that I do not like to hear, and I think is a very selfish phrase, and that is the phrase, "If you were my friend, if you were my friend, you would. If you were my friend." Well, what does that mean? I think that's a selfish phrase, because that, the person that you're saying that to can flip it back around to you and say, well, if you were my friend, then you wouldn't. Friendships are give and take, and I have friends, that, no matter what. And I'm, she isn't here right now, but I look at Shy Lady. I mean, we've known each other. We met on the job. We were in completely different departments, but we, maintain a friendship that, for me, is just one of the most valuable friendships that I have, because of the type of person she is. And, I know her family, and, she knows mine. And even though we live in different states, we may not, see each other all the time. If, rarely, we talk every so often, but she's someone who I can say has my back. I have hers. If something ever happened to her children, I would be there for her. If something ever happened to her husband, I would be there for her. She's just one of those friends that you know, that you put in your front row. And sometimes you have to clean house. Sometimes, you have to, clean that closet. And some people, some clothes you're moving to the front, because you wear them more or whatever, and some clothes you move back to the back of the closet. And that's how I see some friends who are just, you all are just not clicking for whatever reason. um and again, I have friends that I have absolutely nothing in common with. I have another friend who I met on the job. We have nothing in common. Nothing. you know um when her son moved out to California for a couple of years, she said, can you look out for him, whatever. And he's in his 20s, and I'm like, yeah, I'll look out for him. And her son and I became good friends. But I have absolutely nothing in common with her for the most part. But she's another person who has my back, and I have hers. And then again, you can say, well, what does having someone's back mean? And I have learned that through these two particular people, it's not a selfish friendship. um I don't expect anything, um and they don't expect anything from me. Sometimes someone just wants to talk, and you're just there to listen. But I mean, I don't know. Anyone want to comment? Disagree with me? Yes? No? Crucible Man? OJ? Anyone want to comment? If not, I'm going to keep going.
I have a question.
Yes.
In your opinion, because I've thought about this a few times, friends that I've known since we were in grammar school or in high school, and spend a significant time hanging out together and going to weddings and things of that nature. But if just for whatever reason we've just lost touch, and there was no falling out, there was no fight, there were no angry words, there was no disagreement about anything that would say, okay, you can't be friends with that person anymore. And I've toyed with, because as I mentioned, I think I was on the show yesterday, about how your life shrinks as you get older. And I think friendship is one of the ways that it shrinks. And I toy with the idea of, okay, you don't have that much pride that you can't pick up the phone and call that person. And you don't have to offer up any fence mending or anything, or even regurgitate the past. You can just call up and say, I could just call up and say, how you doing? It's been a long time. I was just thinking about you, kind of thing. And then I stop short of it, because I think, well, if that person felt the same way, wouldn't I have heard from them by now? And am I just setting myself up for more disappointment in terms of not reading the situation correctly, or being a little bit self-serving because I want a friend, or I want to, reignite the friendship from many years ago? If that person doesn't want to, and you're putting them in an uncomfortable position, that's what kind of stops me from picking up the phone. And I was just curious as to whether people thought it was worth kind of, swallowing your pride and putting yourself out there, and on the outside chance that this person would be receptive.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. So you're saying that you did make the attempt to reach out, and they haven't reached out, or you are considering reaching out, hoping that they reach back.
I've had both situations.
Okay. I have reached out to several people over the years, and they didn't respond the first time. I reached out again the second time. They didn't respond, and I just kind of shrugged it off, like, okay, well, if they're interested, I left my number. They have my contact, information. If they want to reach out, well, then they will. If not, then you just keep going. I mean, I would not get offended or upset. Um, because again, I come back to you don't know why they're not reaching out. Or it could be that maybe they just don't want to talk to you. I've had people who have reached out to me in the past that I have not responded to. Um, um, but I do believe these people knew why I was not responding. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just someone who if people don't respond, okay, that's fine. I'm going to move on because I have other things and other friends and family in my life that I don't need to dwell on someone else. So that's just me. I don't know what anyone else wants to say. Does anyone else want to respond to what Crucible Man just said? Okay, Shy Lady.
Hey,
Hey.
I just want to say that I've been in those situations. Probably everyone has been in those situations where they kind of didn't understand what happened, or they reached out and the person is not returning the calls. In some cases, you know why. I just feel like when I've been in those kind of situations, I feel like people are in your life for a season when you get those kind of things. And I had situations where I knew people from like church and we hung out a few times, and I decided to leave the church and then kind of don't hear from them anymore since I'm not a part of the church. So I realized that, and the same thing happened in a work situation where once I left that job, the relationship fizzled out. And so I determined that those relationships were just strictly based on the church, and they were just seasonal. They were just in my life for a season, and they weren't really true friends as I thought that they were. So I just wanted to add to.
And you make a good point. I like the term that you use, seasonal. Because I think we've all had seasonal friends. The friends that are, there for the moment. While you're at that job, or if you're in church, or wherever. If your child is going to a particular school, you may form relationships, with other parents, whatever, and you guys, become quote unquote friends. But then as your children leave and everyone goes off different ways, um you don't necessarily have that friendship anymore, and you kind of realize that the thing that was holding you together were your kids. So they are those seasonal friends. But then you have the ones that your children may go to a different school, but the two of you manage to maintain a relationship. And for me personally, the people who I have in my life, who I'm friends with, are people that I want to be friends with. Some people I'm still trying to figure out. Well, are we friends or are we not friends? I'm not sure what category to put them in. But other people, like I said, they're in my front row, and they will remain in my front row, hopefully, until one of us is gone. So I don't know. Um, you know, People will do things that along the way, and your friends will. They'll do things that will piss you off, will make you mad. But if you have that bond of friendship, you get over it. You know, um, you don't hold someone, to something because they disappointed you in a particular way. I've had friends who have disappointed me so many times, in so many different ways, and in some ways, selfish ways, whatever. But then again, I've probably disappointed people too. I'm sure I have. But I come back to the relationships that I've been able to maintain. I have relationships from people that I grew up with, on my block, that I still maintain relationships with. We still talk. You know, uh, we are still involved, to a certain extent in each other's lives, and I enjoy that friendship. There are people that I've, have just met, that I'm building friendships with. So someone is always going to disappoint you. I mean, you have family members that disappoint you. um so I think it just depends upon how you react to that, and how the other person reacts to it, and if you just click. Some people click, some people don't. Does anybody want to respond? Oh, and another thing that I do not think that friends do, um they don't put you down. They're not always trying to to one up you. They're not, you know they aren't mean. And I've had people in my life who have been mean, but you just don't say anything, you just let it go, whatever, because in my mind, while they're doing this, I have I have a plan, and I know what I'm going to do with this particular relationship. um you know They don't talk about you behind your back. A good friend is going to tell you about yourself to your face. And I have friends who tell me about myself, you know, um, and again, sometimes you do need someone to tell you about yourself, and you're able to take that criticism and not get upset. You may not like it, but a lot of times when your friends are telling you about yourself, they're usually right, especially if they're people who have known you for a long time. They're usually right. Um, you know, um, they, you know, friends to me, they don't bring a lot of drama into your life. And, they don't, um, uh every time you turn around, it's like it's all this drama. We all have drama in our life. Everybody, no matter how poor you are, no matter how rich you are, how famous, whatever, everybody has some type of drama in their life. Um because after a while it gets exhausting. So am I being a good friend if I don't want to listen to it? Some people may say no. I mean, I don't know. Anybody want to comment? Agree? Disagree? Preschool man, shy lady. Anyone want to agree? Disagree? Or else I will keep going. No. Okay. I will keep going. All right. So, and then I come back to this whole mutual friend thing. I have two friends who, as I was saying earlier, they do not like each other. So, what do you do in that situation? I mean, I really like to know what you would do in that situation. OJ said earlier that he would, try to patch it up. Me, I don't want to be that third party. I don't want to be in the middle of it. I think it's between, two people. But what do you do? What do you do if you want to have an event, or you want to do something and you want to invite both of them? Do you invite both of them, and hope that there are no fireworks, or do you have one person sit out? I mean, I have done things where I know not to invite a certain group of friends, or maybe one or two people, because of the people that I'm around. Um, they would not approve of those people. They would turn their nose up, because they're a bit on the bougie side. Crucible Man says keep them separated. So you're saying, don't, if you have a party, you would not you would not invite both of them, or you would invite both of them, you would invite one. So when you say keep them separated, what does keep them separated mean? Okay, I'll give you the mic if you want to speak.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, I think you're talking about two adults here now who are free thinking and independent people. They have their reasons for not liking the other person. When we're kids, our disagreements were mostly very, very trivial and very superficial. And 2 days later, everybody's friends again, and you can't remember what you even were fighting about. But when people, get into adulthood, those positions that they've taken with each other have been forming, kind of like concrete over the years. And if anything, they've probably are more entrenched in their positions than they were 10 years ago. So in my view, you're almost trying to play God there by thinking your personality or your presence will be enough to unify them when clearly they've had plenty of time to patch things up or mend fences if that was what they wanted to do. So I would tend to let two independent, free-thinking adults make up their own minds about who they want to spend time around.
All right. So, but and again, I said that I don't want to be that third party. I don't want to get involved in trying to make sure that these two people make up, like you said, they're adults. If they want to do it, they're perfectly capable of doing it on their own. But my question is, if you were to have a party, would you invite both of them, knowing that both of them were your friends, or do you not invite either one of them? Or you choose, well, I'll invite this one and not invite the other.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on what kind of a party. I don't know. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here because I just said keep them separated. But depending on the nature of the party, I might roll the dice and invite them both and let nature take over. They can either stay on separate sides of the room. They can decide to exchange pleasantries. They can choose to do anything they want, but they're making the decision. You made the decision to invite them both, and they're going to decide for themselves how they want to handle it. Maybe some of them, two of them, one of them may not even show up. So kind of problem solved, but I might go out on a limb and invite them both.
Okay. All right. Shy Lady, do you have any thoughts on that? Or no? I will keep going. All right. So I bring up the party thing because some of my friends, I do put them in categories. Now, these are just people who are my friends. They're not anyone who I would consider, close friends. But these are friends, and I brought that up because for years I used to have this. I haven't done it in probably about four years, but I used to have every April I would have a get together, girls only, whatever, no significant other, spouses, children, leave them at home. They were not invited. I was very clear about that. So don't show up with your child, whatever. And I had one particular friend who would comment on anything that she thought would be offensive to your husband. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shaun T. He has a lot of workout videos and what have you. I love his videos. I work out to them, whatever. And he's a nice looking guy. And one particular friend and I, we were talking about this one particular video or CD, whatever he had, and this one move that he did that we thought was on the sexual side. So we started laughing, and whatever, and we were talking about, Shaun T, whatever. And my other friend turned around and she looked at us and said, "What would your husbands think? What would your husbands think that they that you're making comments like that?" And we just kind of looked at her. And to me, it's just two people just making a comment. It's not like we were going to go out and chase Sean T down or anything, whatever. But she was offended, and I asked her. I said, "Are you offended by what we just said?" And she said, "Yes." She says, "I'm offended by what you said, and I feel sorry for your husbands." And we both just kind of looked at her. So later on, when I saw the offended friend again, she said, "I don't want to come to anything else you have if you and your friend, you and your other friend," she didn't know the other person that well, "are going to make comments like that. I don't want to be around her. So if the two of you are together, more than likely you will say something like that. If she's not around, then I'll be more than happy to hang out with you." And I was like, just wow. I was just like, you know, I, it, I mean, I was literally speechless, and I'm rarely speechless. But she's somebody that I slowly just started to just phase out of my life. Um, and we see each other every so often we'll see each other. "Hi, how are you?" Whatever. But she was somebody that I phased out of my life because I didn't want to be around someone that is this going to offend her? Is this going to offend her if I say this? I just thought that it was just kind of overboard. So do you guys think I was wrong, or what do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, it sounds like a judgmental person, a person that is what's the word I can't think of right now, but a person who feels like they're high and mighty and righteous, and it's just wrong to think like that. And if your husband was there, I mean, that's the only person that really should be concerned about whatever it is, how you feel. But it was such an innocent thing. It's not like you have any intentions of going forward with what you said. It's just a comment. I'll watch a movie and I'll say, "Oh, he's a good looking man," and my husband will be right there, there present. And I won't say it like to him. I like, there might be other people in the room. I say, "Oh, he's attractive. We might, watch something on TV or whatever." And it's always respectful of one another. And there's never the idea or the notion that you're interested in that person that it's on the screen. You don't even know them. And for someone
Right.
to get offended, it's ludicrous. And it's like, are you serious? How could you even be offended when I'm not even interested? I'm just making giving the person a compliment. It might be a attractive woman. I'm heterosexual. There might be an attractive woman on TV, like on one of these shows. It's like, "Oh, she's a really pretty lady."
Hmm.
It's like, what's the big deal?
Right. Right. So, Shy Lady, I want to ask you, because I was talking about you before you came on, and I was talking about our friendship and what have you, and I just want to ask you, why do you think that our friendship has been able to last all these years?
Very good question. Um, I think there's a couple of things. I've had friends who I have known since elementary school, and one I keep in my keep one has been in my life since I've been like 9 years old. And we're not like friends because we've over the years we've gone separate directions as far as our careers, families. We kind of don't have a lot of things in common anymore, but I still keep in touch with her every now and then, Facebook or whatever. I had another friend who I'd been knowing since the third grade, and we fell out because of a lot of jealousy things. This person was jealous of the fact that I got married a good guy, went to college. She did none of those things, and it was always negative comments. Or I just had to eliminate her from my life. But to answer your question about us, I think we've been friends, and I think I've probably been friends with you since, I don't know, 84, 85.
Hmm.
It's been a long time, and I would say our friendship is because we both respect each other's opinions. We don't always agree on everything. We both like the fact that we have intelligent conversations, and we both kind of have similar backgrounds, college educated. When we worked at the same company, but I think that we, more than anything, we have good conversation. Is in we respect each other. We
Yeah.
respect each other's opinions, and we always have some really good, interesting topics. And only regret that I have is that we didn't hang out more over the years after we left the Chicago area. That maybe with family, you got married, had a kid. I got married, had a few kids, and I'm in Texas, you're in California. But I just, in the future going forward in our older age, I hope that we can maybe sometime get together, either girls thing hang out or have the spouses get together, whatever. But that's the only regret, is that we didn't spend as much time as we probably could have or should have over the years.
Yeah, and and also, to say that, with the company, that we worked at, um, when we left, um, I pretty much moved to, I think, California right after that. So it does put a strain on a relationship when you people live in different parts of the country, or even different parts of the world. But one thing that I would like to say, in terms of friendship, is it is that respect factor. you know um you know do you respect me? Do you respect my opinion? You may not agree with me, but do you respect me? Do you respect what I said? You may not like what I said, whatever, but and there have been times, where we have just not agreed, but it was always that respect factor. And so, I mean, I don't know. I just think that when you have a friend, even if it's just one, even if you just have that one friend, if you can maintain that friendship, and um, you respect that person, you're willing to listen to that person, they're willing to listen to you, um, leave the drama out of it. Um, I think that you are going to have uh, friendships that are going to last. And I'm someone who I will talk to anybody. I really will. Like I've said, I've been in airports. I especially in airports. While everyone else is on their phone or on their iPad or whatever. I'm sitting here talking. To someone, and we're having just this conversation. I mean, we're not friends. At the end of the conversation, we're each getting up and getting on a plane, but just to have that interaction with people. But I do believe that it's possible to have a lifelong friend, even if you're just meeting them now. You can still have that lifelong long friend. But I do agree with Shy Lady when you say it comes down to respect. You know, So I would like to know if anyone has ever had a friend that the situation just ended badly. Like you all are just no longer friends. I know, Shy Lady, you were saying about a friend that you had, over jealousy or whatever. But has anyone ever just had a friend where it just really just ended badly, where there's just no hope for you to get back together? Either they reached out to you, you reached out to them, and it was just like, I don't want to be bothered. You know what you did. They know what they did, whatever. And you know, there's just no way that that friendship is going to be repaired. So, has anyone ever had a friendship like that? Shy Lady, your mic is open. Did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll speak brief because I know Crucible Man has something that show's about to end soon. But I guess you could say we were friends. I was more like kind of a big sister. I met her in the workplace, and she used to tell me a lot of things. At the time, I was newly married, and she used to tell me a lot of things about the relationship with this young man she was involved with. She was, I would say, around 21, 22 at the time, and I'm probably 30. And this particular young man that she was involved with, was cheating on her, and she would constantly complain and talk about what he was doing. And I offended her by telling her that she was stupid, and why don't you just leave? What is your problem? And she got very offended, and I thought we were cool. I tried calling her, reaching out to her, and she would never return my calls. And I had loaned her a book that my mother had given me, and I wanted that book back. She never returned my book back. I was very upset about that because it was a book that my mother had given me, and she just never wanted anything to do with me. Because I called her stupid. And looking back, I probably should have been nicer, kinder, whatever words. But I think it was out of frustration. I got so sick of hearing the same story every day. He did this, he did that. And I'm like, why are you with him? I said, you're really stupid. I don't even understand that. And she stopped answering my calls. And I reached out to her several times. I finally said, okay, I'm not going to get my book back. She's not returning my call. She's don't want to be friends. Okay, it's cool.
Well, um, the stupid thing was probably what really did it. But you are right. When you consistently hear the same thing over and over and over, it's like you get to the point where the stupid word comes out, or maybe another word, whatever, or you don't even want to return their phone calls, or listen to them. So, Crucible Man, what did you have to say? Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I had a friend who I had known for 20 years, and we were very, very, very close. And we had done some business together in a couple different areas, to limited success. We had some success, and we had many other failures. And I think the strain of that kind of stuff over the years just kind of frayed the friendship. But I guess the last straw was we were both working or trying to work for this entrepreneur several years ago, probably 8 years ago now. And this friend wanted a particular arrangement with me regarding how money would be distributed in the event that we ever made any. And I didn't agree. And he ended up writing an email to the person that we were both trying to work for, and he didn't copy me on it, but the guy ended up sending it to me because he didn't think it was right either. And it was just actually an act of betrayal. This guy threw me under the bus. He said I was not trustworthy. We had agreed to something, and I had reneged on it, which was just not true. And when I read the email, my mouth just hung open. And I picked up the phone, and we talked for 90 minutes. I probably did the talking for 88 of those minutes. And at the end of that conversation, I just said, I don't see the point anymore. We don't have anything in common. And if this is your definition of loyalty, to throw me under the bus and jeopardize my employment with the person we're both trying to work for, I'm not sure it gets any lower than that. And like I said, we were very close friends, went through a lot of things together. He did show up at both of my parents' funerals, and he would probably do anything for me. But when that particular event took place, I didn't see how I could trust him anymore. And as you had alluded to earlier, once the trust goes, what have you got?
Well, whenever you put money into, whenever you put money into anything, there's going to be an issue. Money, between friends, money between family. Money is that divider. So I, I can see how that would definitely be a train wreck, especially if you don't agree on how funds are split. But it's sad that you do have this 20-year your friendship, and it ended with money, and he chose to, like you said, write this email, whatever. And how do you trust someone like that? But um you know and then that's another question I have to ask people. Do you think that money, where are you when it comes to loaning people money? I mean, I've loaned people money that I've never gotten back. um uh there was one particular person at this company that I work with. To this day, every time I think about it, she owes me $125. But when I gave it to her and I loaned it to her, as a loan, in the back of my head, because I knew that she struggled and what have you, I had a feeling that I would never get that money back, whatever. But you still, where do you think money and friendship comes in? I mean, should it be there? Should it not be there? What do you all think? Shy lady.
My thoughts are, I kind of think about my husband. We've loaned money to people, and we several times didn't get it back. And he said, he has this philosophy. He said, you know, I'll loan it. I'll loan it to you. But in the back of his mind, just like you, he said he knew he would get it. He wouldn't get it back. So he'll take it as like a church offering, so to speak. It's like, okay, well, here's what I'm gonna do for you. But if you don't pay back, you can't ever come back and ask me for anything ever. And so I would only loan someone money, and it would depend on the amount. I would only loan someone money if I knew that they really were in dire need of it, knowing that I probably would not get it back. It would be a limit to that, but I would not let that really affect my friendship with them. They just couldn't come back to me ever, and ask me for anything.
But don't you think that makes it awkward?
Yeah,
And
it kind of does. It kind of does because I know that we had loaned my husband, some a family member, some money, and it took several years to get back. I think it was a couple of $1,000s, and it took several years, but it was always in the back of my mind, like, wow. Especially if you see that person making purchases, and you're like, I think you could have probably given me my money back several times,
right.
with all the trips and things like that you've been on. But eventually, like I said, that we did get it back. But yeah, it is awkward when you think about it. It is awkward. Yeah.
My father always had this rule: do not loan, do not borrow. And I think I've said this story before. When my family went on a trip, we went to Sanibel Island, Florida. My parents used to have a timeshare there, so we would go to Sanibel Island, and my mom, my sister, and I, we would spend our money. And my father was very, very frugal, very, very frugal. He would just sit on the patio or by the pool, reading the newspaper or whatever, with his transistor radio, listening to a baseball game or something. And we're out spending money. And we were always, in Sanibel for like two weeks. And we would run out of money, and we would come to my father, and he's like, no, no, I'm not loaning you any money. I'm not giving you any money. You knew how long we were going to be here. You knew that you should, space out your money, whatever. And he said, I'm not loaning you any money. And he was serious. And we would get upset. My mother would get upset, whatever. And his whole thing was, I do not loan, I do not borrow. And I have borrowed money, in the past, whatever. But when you look at it, um, especially with friends, you don't want that. You don't want it to be awkward. And like you said, when you're looking at them buy something, and you're like, well, you owe me $125. Yet you're buying a pair of shoes. It just makes it awkward. And in the back of their mind, they also know it. They also know it. So I don't know. Crucible Man, do you have something that you would like to say or add before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think money is probably the number one friendship killer in the world today, and it probably has been since the beginning of time. I agree with Shy Lady. If you do agree to lend money, and I've lent money and had not had it paid back, you have to lend it with the idea that you're not going to see it again. This person is in presumably a very difficult position, and they have to have this money. Hopefully, they're telling you the truth about why they really need it. But when one party owes another party, or I should say, one friend owes another friend money, you've created an imbalance in the relationship and in the friendship, and one friend now has leverage or power, if you will, over the other one. And each of them is aware of it, and it's in the back of both of their minds, which is where the tension and the awkwardness comes from. So I think right from that standpoint alone, you're not on equal footing anymore. And when you're not on equal footing anymore, the friendship changes. And I think that's where you have to probably either not lend any money or lend it saying, I would appreciate if this gets paid back, but if it doesn't, we're still going to be friends. And unfortunately, I think those are the only circumstances under which you should be lending money, if you assume you're never going to see it again.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, I only had you two today, but I think we had a good conversation. I think this was a good show. So thank you two for showing up. I appreciate it, and thank you as always, thank you for your participation and for your likes. So on that note, I am going to wrap it up. And as you know, I'm Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you again, guys. I appreciate you. I really do. I guess people didn't want to talk about friends today. That's all right. And thank you for the thumbs up and for the clap, Crucible Man. Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Because tomorrow I want to talk about what makes you laugh. Several things that make me laugh. I'm laughing just thinking about it. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.